Hey, how we doing there, everyone? Welcome back to another episode on the Wife's Wicked Kawasaki Ninja 125. Now, today we're going to go over a few techniques that you can use if your bike doesn't start. So if the battery runs out, how you can get your bike started. Alright, so a lot of these modern bikes don't have a Kickstarter anymore. My first 125 did have a Kickstarter, and they are actually quite useful in a situation like this where the battery is totally dead, and using that Kickstarter is enough usually to get the engine turning over and to provide a little bit of spark just to get it going. But on these modern bikes, the way you have to do it is by bump starting them. So of course, in order to bump start, a lot of you probably already know the process of what bump starting is, but you've got to be able to get the bike in gear. Now usually in a car this is quite easy. In a manual you just push the clutch in and put it into second gear, but on a bike a lot of them have got positive neutrals. So I mean the bike turns over, but if I pull in the clutch and I try pushing down the gear lever, you see how it goes back into neutral again? Same if I try kicking it upwards as well. Right? It always goes back into neutral. So what you've got to do in order to get it into gear, and I'd actually recommend that you do this with the engine off, is you've got to move the bike forward a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold onto the front brake here, and I'm going to get my foot underneath the gear lever and start pushing on it upwards like that. Then I'm going to let go of the brake. There you go. It's in gear. You know when it's in gear when the bike doesn't move anymore. Yeah? You push it, and it's really difficult to get going. Alright, now you're going to turn the key over. Now ideally you've got someone that can help you with this, but if you haven't, right, so pull in the clutch and let's run as fast as we can. Then what we're going to do, we're going to dump the clutch. Here we go. There we go. And the bike has started, but it is in second gear still, so push it down into first and then you should be good to go. On a cold bike, a cold start bump starting it might take a few attempts, but we'll go through it again. But that is pretty much the process. Alright, let's put it in neutral again, because most of the time, I mean, when you park up your bike, it's going to be in neutral, right? So, process is, pick the bike up off the kickstand, pull in the clutch, get it into second gear by pulling it up on your toes like that and moving the bike forward ever so slightly. Then when you let go of the clutch, the bike won't move forward anyway. You can do it without the clutch as well, right? So that's in neutral again. So if we leave our hands off the clutch, pull up on here, there you go, and the bike is no longer moving. Alright, it's caught up in the gearing, okay? Because that's what you would do to park the bike if it's on a hill or something like that. You put it in gear. Right, from here, turn the ignition on, pull in the clutch so the bike starts moving, give the bike a push, and then as soon as you get to about 4 or 5 miles an hour, just dump the clutch like that. Now the bike will try to run away from you a little bit, because at idle, the bike is going to be moving slightly faster than you. So as soon as the bike turns on, pull in the clutch first, then open up the throttle, keep the revs up high so the bike doesn't die again. Alright, but let's do it again. Here we go. It's up to 4 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour. Here we go. Woo! Okay, you see the bike. The bike's trying to run away from me. So right now I'm pulling the clutch. I'm giving it revs. There you go. Right, let's get it back into neutral. And that is how you bump start a motorcycle, or how you start a motorcycle if your battery dies. Pretty straightforward. It does knock the wind out of you when you do it, but yeah, it's a pretty straightforward process. But now what we're going to do, because that's worst case scenario, now what we're going to do is demonstrate how you can do this if you're on a hill, if you're lucky enough to find a hill nearby.
A few moments later.
Alright, here we go. So first things first, let's get the bike into second. There we go. It was as easy as that. I didn't even need to use the clutch for that one. Alright, so let's put in the clutch, turn the ignition on, let's start rolling down this hill. You might have to give it a little bit of a push. Go on, bike. Go, 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 go. Depending on the steepness of the hill, you'll probably be able to get some decent speed up. Let's go ahead and do that. And this is perhaps the safest way to do it because you are on the bike, you're in control of the bike rather than standing next to it. So we're at 12 mile an hour already, 14, 15 mile an hour already. Here we go. There we go, easy as that. There we can ride away. Yeah, that is by far the easiest one because you don't have to use so much energy to push the bike forward, and of course the bigger the bike is, the heavier the bike is, the harder it's going to be. Alright, the exact same thing goes really if you're able to get someone to help you out. Because you're already on the bike, I find it a lot easier bump starting a motorcycle when someone is actually pushing you. I find it is it's far easier to do. It's more, you're more in control of the bike. On a 125, it's not too bad. You haven't really got a lot to move. But when it comes to 1000s, when it comes to 1500s, when it comes to 1400s, bikes that are about 200 kilos, 250 kilos, something like that, that's when you might run into problems depending on how strong you are, how big you are. If you have a road that is fairly flat like this one, then pushing most bikes is fairly straightforward. But if you've got a slight incline, like trying to push the bike up that little hill there would be absolutely impossible. Even this 125, getting it bump started trying to go up the hill is not going to work. All right, so try and figure out the easiest way for you to push the bike. If you find there's a road that goes slightly downhill, turn the bike around and use that. It's so much easier. All right, let gravity help you out with this one. Alright everyone, well I mean that is pretty much it. I know that today is going to be quite a short video, but it is a fairly straightforward process and it doesn't hurt the bike either, so by all means if you want to, go ahead and practice on your own bikes. So that'll do for today's video. Thank you ever so much for joining me all the way to the end of this one. If this video has helped you out, if you've learned something today, hit that like button, get subscribed. It is totally free for you, but it really helps us content creators out an awful lot. So let's try and get to 100 likes for the Ninja 125. Thank you again ever so much for watching. Take care, ride safe, and we'll catch you all in the next video. Have a good one.